What's going on, YouTube? um, First time back in, I want to say, a week and a half. First, I want to apologize for my absence. I was feeling better at one point, and then I got really, really sick. I don't know what happened. I hit Utah, and I want to talk about a few things today, but I'm just letting you guys know where I've been at. And I did a 34-hour reset in Utah next to the Salt Lakes, next to a freight train in a mud lot. And that's where it just started again. And I just got overwhelmed. Like, I got really sick. So I've been on the road sick, but besides being sick, that's not really what stopped me from posting. I've been going, I was going through, I have some things that I'm dealing with outside of the YouTube community, the YouTube life. So, and eventually I'm going to touch on them. But being away, you know what, time and space is a funny thing, because and being in this truck, time and space is a funny thing because it allows you to gather your thoughts. It allows me to gather my thoughts. It allows me to reflect on myself. It allows me to sort through anger. It allows me to find forgiveness for myself and others that have done things to me. It allows me to really just put a heartfelt thought and contemplation, and I don't know if you guys are following me or what I'm trying to say, but you got a lot of time and a lot of space to do that out here on the road and in the truck. What the truck does for me is, yeah, Tracy, yeah, man, I need some more spicy Thai food. I guess the comments aren't working. What's up, Tracy, man? What the truck does for me is it causes me to face all those thoughts head on. There's no distraction. You can turn the music on, and you can turn the YouTube on, and there's other things other truckers found on the road. I mean, there's strip clubs out here, casinos, it's all that type of stuff. I don't really get down in all that. First of all, I like the money I earn, and I don't got money to blow. Not anymore. And strip clubs was never my thing. I just don't believe in it, really. It's just not my thing. I'm not saying I've never been to one. It's just not my thing. So, or gentlemen's clubs, whatever you want to call it. My point is, what's up, Jim, man? There's a lot of distractions out here that you can use to distract you, but in the end, when all of that shuts off, you're in this truck, those thoughts come back to surface, and you gotta face them head on. You know, you're face to face with them thoughts every second, every minute. And me personally, I'm a compulsive thinker. I've always said that. I don't know if I'll come across that way, but I'm a compulsive thinker anyway. So, I always talk about the squirrel's nest. And it's a double-edged sword. Sometimes it works out for you and sometimes it doesn't. But when you're in this truck, whatever you're facing in life, outside of this truck, inside this truck, whatever things you tried to leave at home, whatever things you took on the road with you, things that might have happened back when you was a kid that you just never really gave any thought to, for me, it comes up. Maybe it's just me because I'm a compulsive thinker. I don't know. But you are faced with it in the truck and you can't get out and run anywhere. There's nowhere to scream, holler, beat somebody up, take your anger out, do whatever. There's none of that. You're stuck in the truck and you got to face it. And when I say it, I'm going to call it, you got to face the challenges head on. So, with that said, I've been absent for about a week and a half because there's a lot of things going on in my life. Some great, some not so great. And I'm a man of faith. Let me put that out there. I'm a man of faith. And I'm not trying to press my faith upon anyone else. And I would like to say that I believe in all religions because I believe in God. My mother has a Quran in her house as well as a Bible. She was born in a Muslim. She was born in Tripoli, Libya. And she was raised with a Quran. And there's also a Bible in the house. So I'll probably lose some. I'm gonna lose some subscribers after this, I'm sure, but it's all good. But I'm a man of faith, and I don't usually talk like this on the live feeds or even get into any of this. But I'm sort of wavering and going back and forth because I'm getting into where this last week and a half has brought me in terms of YouTube and just in general. So I wasn't always a man of faith. I was brought up to believe in spirits, good spirits, bad spirits. I found my faith in 2003. And that's a whole nother story that I can use for another live feed. Because I found my faith in 2003 by myself on a beach. I know some people might be like, this dude is crazy, he's a little dramatic. Yeah, it might be, but that's how I found my faith. So, and the story is even more crazy. Well, not crazy, it's just, to me, it's interesting. It's interesting to me how I found it. Maybe it's interesting to others, but nonetheless, I'm a man of faith. Now, when I found my faith, when I introduced myself to my higher power in 2003, there was a lot going on in my life. And I'm not going to say it was all good. I'm going to say this, that I was on a road where I had money. I didn't have to worry about money. My family didn't have to worry about money. My wife didn't have to worry about working. My kids were taken care of. Bills was paid. If I wanted to go and get on a plane the next day, I could. Now, the funny thing about that is, at that current time, I didn't have a job. Now, if you can read between the lines, because I'm not going to sit out here and throw that out there for legalities or however you call it, legal reasons. But when I didn't have a job, I had plenty of money and the freedom of time and to do what the hell I wanted to do. But I was conflicted because I knew what I was doing wasn't the right thing. And when I found my faith in 2003, I found it because I was conflicted and I was looking for something different, and I didn't know how to escape. I didn't know even how to, I don't want to say I didn't know how to think differently. I couldn't see differently. I could imagine, but I couldn't see myself doing something different. I enjoyed what I did, and I was great at it. So, and I made money. I had time, freedom, everything was taken care of. So, I didn't have a boss. I didn't have a job. I did what the hell I wanted to. Like, who doesn't want that type of life? Except the things that came with it. The danger it put me in, the danger it potentially put my family in. I started to weigh those options. Is it worth it? So I took a vacation and introduced myself to a higher power on a beach. With that said, when I introduced myself to the higher power, I thought, like what everybody generally thinks, I believe, when you introduce yourself to a higher power, the higher power is supposed to come into your life and make everything better. I mean, that's what a higher power is, right? He makes everything better for you, or she makes everything better for you, depending on what it is that you believe in, or what your beliefs are, or the spirit, or, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that is the general consensus. You have a higher power. The higher power makes life easier for you. It makes life better for you and gives you opportunities. While I do believe that is true, what was to happen next, I couldn't fathom, and I couldn't understand it until years later when it was presented to me in a different way, which was up until like 2 years ago. So we're talking about finding my higher power in 2003, going through what I went through only to realize it, which happens to me a lot. It happened to me my whole life. My father would say things to me that were just too deep for a child to understand, or too deep for a teenager to understand, or too deep for a young man to understand, or I just wasn't ready to hear it, wasn't ready to receive the message, and received the message and heard it 5-10 years later, and it would hit me like a ton of bricks what he meant. So back to what I was saying. I expected everything to get better. What happened was everything spiraled out of control. Now, when I say I found my higher power, I didn't go to a church every Sunday. I wasn't attending church. For me to even acknowledge a higher power was finding a higher power, because I did not believe in one at all. But I wanted to, because I needed something greater than myself to help me figure it out, for lack of better words. How to get out, how to escape this, how to move in a different way, how to change life, how to have an end game that doesn't result in a pine box or a cell block. So everything spiraled out of control, and I couldn't understand that. I couldn't understand why everything spiraled out of control. I'm thinking things are supposed to get so much better. And when I say out of control, some of the things that happened from 2003 up until today were just things that I would never, ever in my life thought that I'd ever see, feel, hear, touch, experience ever. Things that made me cry as a man, things that made me buckle, things that made me not want to exist anymore. No, I didn't go commit suicide or anything like that. So, but the feeling was there. It spiraled out of control. So I went from this, having fun, the freedom of time, the freedom of money, enjoying what I did, traveling, going places, bullshitting with friends, like doing whatever the hell I wanted to do, literally, and never having a money issue, to still doing whatever I wanted to do, because I didn't stop doing what I was doing, which was part of the problem, to my life just spinning out of control and everything around me out of control. So I'm going to speed up. So I fast forward to about 2 years ago. And no, I'm going to fast forward to my father passing away, who passed away 4 years ago. He was 56 years old. My father was my best friend. I still have a hard time dealing with it. So, my father always wanted a daughter, and my father had drug and alcohol problems. The day my daughter was born, which was 2002, September 26th, my baby girl, her name is London Ionasia. We brought her home from the hospital. My father came to my house and just held my daughter basically all day. And I remember, the night was getting late, and I came downstairs and said, "Pop, what's going on? You staying here, or you going home? Or you where?" Because I didn't even know where he was staying at that point in time. He said, "I'm not leaving. I'm here." My father didn't leave my house for 9 years. The day my daughter was brought home, my father stayed with me, my wife, and my kids for 9 years. He ended up being the children's supervision. So as many issues as he may have had, the man was incredibly intelligent. His insight and his, I don't know how you call it. I'm looking for words. The way he could tap and dial into people in life was just, it was beyond me. It was beyond me. So he came home when my daughter, he came when my daughter came home, and he stayed with us for 9 years. So at 9 years, he was having my grandmother, who's now 98, she's still alive. There was some issues at her house where my father needed to be present. My father didn't want to leave. He felt bad. He also felt, in some ways, like he was protecting my family, because of what I was doing, there was always eyes around. He was always another pair of eyes. And he was always worried for me what I was doing, being careful or whatever. So I had to tell him, look, if your mother needs you, you need to go take care of your mother. Your time here has been much appreciated. We're always going to see you. We'll be down there, but your mother needs you. Basically telling him it's okay, Pop, you can go. It's all right. Don't feel bad. So it took him a little while. He ended up going. And in that time, he was 2 years at his mother's house. He lost 3 brothers. So he lost one to throat cancer, I believe. The second he lost in 2 years' time. Now, he lost 3 brothers. His mother lost 3 sons. Then my uncle, which was my Uncle Reggie, to throat cancer. Then my Uncle Bobby died a year later with stomach problems. I don't know if it was stomach cancer or something, but it was real sudden too. And then my Uncle Charlie, who was the baby of them all, if I'm not mistaken, he was released from prison because he was sick. I could be wrong on that, but either way, he died next to my father in the living room, laying in the bed. So my father watched 3 of his brothers die. Then my father got sick. My father was having blood circulation problems. My father was a pretty fit guy, he had a good physique, never had any issues, played sports, never had any, but had blood circulation problems because his days was catching up with him. So he went and got a stent in one leg, and that just was problems from the get. He was in and out of the hospital. Like, he caught infections from the hospital. It was bad. I seen him lose weight. He had like 3 different surgeries just to get that one stent in his one leg right. So I remember going to see him, and it was the last time I saw him. And I went to talk to him, and he handed me money. I don't know why he handed me money, but he handed me money, and I said, I can't take this, And he was like, look, you never asked me for nothing. You never came at me in any way. I want you to have this, give it to the kids, do whatever you gotta do with it. I'm like, all right. So he sat down and he told me I'm having a problem in my right leg. It hurt like hell. It's hurting like hell. I said, well, you need to go to the ER? No, I'm okay, but if I do, I'll call and I'll go. All right. So I got a call from my aunt the next day that my father went into the hospital because of the pain. And when he went into the ER, they decided he needed emergency surgery on the other leg to put a stent in. So he had emergency surgery. He was 56 years old, a veteran. He had emergency surgery, and they put a stent in his leg. To put a stent in his leg, they had to go through his stomach. So 3 days, I get a call from my aunt the next day, and it's like, your father's doing great. They say he's going to come home. It's nothing like the other 4 surgeries. He's good. He's not even going to need rehabilitation. Everything went beautifully. That was the second day. And the third day, I get a call from my cousin. And I knew something was wrong. I remember I was in the library doing something, looking up something. And she said, look, you need to come to the hospital as soon as possible because your father is not doing well. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's not doing well. They just called me and told me to be home. Everything's all right. Everything went beautifully. Yeah, but his vitals crashed last night. What the hell does that mean? I don't know what that means. His vitals crashed last night. He's on a machine to help him breathe, all of this and this and that. So now I'm just, my heart is in my stomach. I'm all over the place. So I rushed down to the hospital, and for the first time in my entire life, I see my father powerless. So he has his breathing tubes down his throat. He's powerless. But I could see he was in pain, even though they said he wasn't even conscious. Because ever so often he'd make this face just like, and I'm thinking, if he's not conscious, why is he making that face? So I know that no matter what was going on, he was in pain too. So what had happened was, he was bleeding out of his stomach internally, major like hematoma, whatever the hell that means. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. But this dude is filling up like a river with blood from the inside for a day now, because it was the day before that this happened. I'm watching. He was in the Veterans Hospital on Kings Highway in the Bronx, New York. And I'm watching doctors come in and out with student doctors looking at the man. They're not doing nothing. They're observing him. Walk out, walk in, ask me who I am. I'm like, you serious? But nobody's touching the man. So, come to find out that the day before, he told the nurse that something was wrong. They did a CAT scan at between 10 and 11 a.m. They did the CAT scan between 10 and 11 a.m. on day one. The doctor that was there said this man needs to go to ICU immediately. This is day one, between 10 and 11 a.m. So after my further investigation, because after he passed away, I investigated everything, went and talked to hospital administration, sat down around the whole conference table and did like if I was a damn lawyer, but I'm not. The doctor that was there said that this man my father needed to be in ICU immediately. So apparently what ICU needs to do is like a hotel. They have to, now I'm no nurse, there might be nurses out there that might say that this is right, but I don't give a flying fuck if it's right or not. It's not right. It's not morally right. So they have to prepare the room. They have to sterilize it. They have to make sure that the sheets are clean and this and this and that. For the incoming patient. So this is 10 or 11 a.m. They know that my father is bleeding internally heavily into his stomach, which is a very sensitive, if not more dangerous than most of the rest of the body, except the brain if you're bleeding internally. He needed to be rushed to ICU. It was plain and simple. They didn't get him to ICU until 9 p.m. that night. So his body started to shut down. His body shut down to save itself. Almost like the truck derates so that you don't push it until it just fails. So his body starts to shut down. So he's sitting there with tubes down his throat, you know, and nobody's helping him. Nobody's touching him. This is day 2. He's sitting there from 9 p.m. on day 1, from bleeding out at 11 a.m. on day 1. He's sitting here on day 2 when I'm there at 4 p.m. No one has touched him. The surgeon took a look at him. Now, they said they couldn't do anything because he was on blood thinners from the previous operation. In my head, I mean, I don't need to be a doctor to figure this shit out. If you bring someone in the ER, I don't give a fuck if they're on blood thinners or whatever. They are shot, stabbed, whatever. You do whatever it takes to save the person. Right or wrong. If a person is dying, you do whatever it takes. You take the risk. Right at this point, he's shutting down slowly. He's gonna die. So you take the risk to save him. So I started like getting antsy. I started requesting the surgeon to be in the room because I keep hearing about the surgeon but never spoke to him. Where is he? You know, I haven't seen him. I've been here for so many hours. This is now day 3. Okay? So we're not talking about day 1. We're talking about 2 days this man been sitting on the table. And I'm requesting the surgeon. They tell me, look, Mr. Claxton, calm down. Go get something to eat. You know, we'll try and contact the surgeon. It's funny how God works. I'm about to tell you something. It's funny how God works, man. It's just funny how he puts things in place for you to see before you realize what it is. It's funny how my God works. So I'm down there in the cafeteria area, and I'm sitting next to the soda machine, and I'm filling up the soda, and I hear 2 doctors behind me having a very interesting conversation. Why was that interesting? Why was the conversation interesting? Because they were giving up on somebody. The conversation was not mine to be tuned into. The conversation had nothing to do with me. I don't even know these doctors. But what made it interesting to me is the things they were saying just, it disgusted me, because I'm wondering in my head, well, damn, I'm glad these doctors aren't my doctors. Because the way they're talking about the patient, and the way they're talking about giving up on this patient, basically saying it's done already. So I looked, so I got a glimpse of the 2 doctors, the surgeons. So I go and eat. When I'm done eating, I go back upstairs. My Aunt Jackie is up there, who drove up from Florida. Bless her soul. And I go and I say, you locate the surgeon yet? No, but we've located his, I don't know, his practitioner, his student person that stands next to him and helps him out. You know what I mean? So this dude walks up to me. It's the same guy at the soda machine. So of course in my head I'm like, these dudes was just talking about my father. And there's no doubt in my mind today that they were talking about my father. It's not like they were having a conversation about another patient. They were talking about my father. it happened that way for a reason. So this guy walks up to me and he says, look, Mr. Claxton, your father's in this state and in that state. We don't really want to do this and we don't want to do that. It's whatever. I said, where's the surgeon? You're not the surgeon. I want to speak to the surgeon. I didn't tell him that what I heard them talking about down in the cafeteria, because at that point in time, I still had the doubt and wanted to doubt that I wanted it to not be true that they were talking about my father. I wanted it to be a conversation about another patient. So in my head at that point in time, it's turning around like maybe that was about another patient, so you don't want to talk to him about that conversation and be wrong. So I demanded the surgeon, look, find the surgeon. I've been here for 2 days looking for this guy, and he hasn't shown up. My father's in there, so I'm bugging out now on the ICU unit. I'm getting rowdy, They find the surgeon. They locate the surgeon. Like, Mr. Claxton, look, the surgeon will be here in about 10 minutes. We've located him. He's coming to talk to you. Okay, great. Lo and behold, it's the other guy at the soda machine in the cafeteria. So he explains what he explains to me. And like I said, I don't have to be a doctor. And I told him that. I said, I don't have to be a doctor to know when I'm being bullshitted. What are you going to save? I said to him. You're going to save the heart or the leg? The man is in there bleeding. You had surgery on his leg. That's where this all started. You went through his stomach. He's bleeding in his stomach. What are you going to do? You're going to save the heart or the leg? You're going to save the man or not? He said, Mr. Claxton, we're going to give him one more pint of blood and see how he responds to it. If nothing happens, we're going to go in and do everything we can to save your father. Please go home, get rest. We'll call you in the morning. At that point, I knew that was probably the best thing I should do, because I was about to start turning shit over, raise hell, I don't know, be escorted off the premises, something. It made no sense for me to stay past that point. It was just gonna get worse. So I go home and I get my phone rings at 4:54 in the morning. I'll never forget those numbers, 454, 4:54 in the morning. My phone rings and the hospital says, Mr. Claxton, I'm sorry to tell you that your father passed away. So I had to go identify the body. When I went to identify the body, my brother was coming from California who hadn't seen his father in 12 years. My father hasn't seen him. They always talked about it, but they haven't. His plane landed 15 minutes after my father passed away. And we went to see the body and to identify it. And when she uncovered them, tubes still shoved down his throat, they didn't do anything. They didn't touch him. They didn't open him up. They didn't do anything. So basically no effort was made, and this man passed away. So let me keep it towards me. So when that happened, between a combination of that and my life, like I told you, now this is how I got for those of you that just joined the live feed or are seeing the live feed at this point, you might have to revert all the way to the beginning, and I apologize. But between the life spiraling out of control and then my best friend, a man who never judged me, knowing everything that I did, seeing the things that I did, never judged me, told me he was proud of me regardless, told me, because he seen me changing too, he seen me starting to get away. The man who was best friend to my daughter, the man who's probably giving me more wisdom than anybody else in this entire world, more than any book, more than anything, is gone. So when that happened, things just started, I was depressed. That was the first time in my life I was depressed. Like, I was in bad shape. So I still continued doing what I was doing though, but on a real smaller scale, but just enough to get me over and pay my bills and make sure everything was good. And I had went and I also was finally had a job at that point in time, which again, I'm gonna leave that for another video, but I ended up getting a job in hopes of having that job pull me away from doing what I was doing. So my father passed away. My grandmother lost 4 of her boys in a year and a half. She watched 4 of her boys die. And my life was spiraling out of control. Things that I never seen happen, things I never thought would happen, things that hurt me, that will scar me for life, emotionally and mentally. Something had to be done. So in another live feed, I talked about how I used to smoke a lot of weed. I used to smoke tons of weed. And my mother just kept telling me it's just amplifying your stress. Like your depression, your stress, it's just killing you. You gotta get away from it. You gotta get away from it. And considering I was trying to leave what I was doing, the life that I was living, that was a major step of getting rid of. If I could get rid of this vice, that'd be one more step away. Plus, with counsel and help, in what I was going through in the time where I was at in my life, how could it hurt? Like, that's how bottom I was, that anything could help. And I thank God that He allowed me to understand that, or He allowed me to understand that I was smart enough to understand that I was at a bottom. So when you're at the bottom, anything can help. Like, and anything positive can help. It's only up from the bottom. You can't go down anymore, other than dying. So I took my mother's advice and I started going to AA to stop smoking weed. It helped a lot, because it definitely got rid of all my desire to smoke weed. So what it also helped with is sitting around and hearing the people and the things that they were going through in the life and the trials and the tribulations, and I shared mine just like I'm sharing here with YouTube. This is what it's bringing me to, this whole video. I was so transparent. I was so transparent in those rooms. And I prayed harder than I ever prayed in my life. And my prayers were answered. Weight was starting to lift off my shoulders. Clarity came into my life. Desires and vices were gone. My responsibilities were more visible and prioritized correctly. I started stepping away from the game and in the life that I was living, a previous life as I call it, more and more and more, because it became easier. But I was so transparent with them people. And I opened myself up so much to my higher power. That life got better. But there was still an issue. I was still having some issues. And those are some issues I will also talk about in another video. But the issues caused me to move, told me that I needed to move. I was in the gym one morning, and what I did was I went to work out at 2 a.m. in the mornings. That's when I would go work out at Planet Fitness. And I was in the gym because no one was there. And I would pray while I was working out. And I asked my higher power that if I took myself out of this situation and put myself in a different place, LA, with my brother, who is really to the book, and put myself in a church and around good people, would he take care of me and would he take care of my family? I swear, like, I could hear someone talking that my higher power spoke back to me and say, yes, you need to go. You need to do that. I'm going to take care of you. You're going to be okay in the end. Your kids will be all right. Your family will be okay. So I moved to LA. I moved to LA with my brother, and I started attending a church in Van Nuys called Turning Point LA. I still do believe it's the best church I've ever attended in my life. Like, needless, I haven't attended many churches, but so I started to study the Bible with a bunch of guys there. And these guys brought to my attention, they sat me down and I told them my story. And they were, I'm not going to say amazed, but they took to it. They took interest to it. And they shed light on it. And they said, do you know why your life spiraled out of control? I said, nah. Because I was doing what I was doing and refused to stop. Kept sinning, poisoning the world, practicing hate. bad karma. I don't know. Practicing hate and anger. I don't know. They said no. Because you invited your higher power into your life. Before you invited your higher power in your life, you were free to move around as you pleased. You did what you wanted. You had your time, your freedom, your money. You did what you wanted. You had no repercussions, no consequences. It wasn't apparent to you. When you invited your higher power in your life, he wanted you to understand what you were doing. He wanted you to feel and understand what you were doing. He wanted you to see the consequences. He wanted you to feel the consequences of your actions. Can I tell you that when they said that to me, as much as it might not have been what I've wanted to hear, I'm not fool enough to know, I'm not foolish enough not to acknowledge or admit that it made complete sense, and I took it as the truth. Complete sense. It just shed light on everything. Everything. From that day in 2003 up until the day that they told me that, it shed light on everything. I'm being held accountable in every way. Even when no one's looking, I'm being held accountable. And considering the person I am, considering the way I think, and like I do have a heart and a soul. When I was doing what I was doing, I was always conflicted. I knew it wasn't right. I knew I was taking money from families and off of children's tables, food off of people's tables, and putting people's parents in the streets, and I was doing shit that wasn't right, and I knew it wasn't right. So, but at the same time, I'll be there giving kids money to go to the store and do, like, I had a heart, but I was, you can't go both ways. You just can't do it. You can't have one foot in the water and one foot out. And I had no idea what my brother meant when he was saying that to me. But now I know. I understand, man. I understand so much. Completely, wholeheartedly. Transparency. I'm a man of faith. I need to be transparent. I've been on these YouTube videos. I've been holding back. Because I didn't want to risk shit. I didn't want to risk judgment. I didn't want to risk making a mistake in hurting other people. I didn't want to risk a lot of things, but I need to be transparent. I told you guys this is not a trucking channel. So if you don't know now, you have to understand that this is not a trucking channel. It's my day-to-day. I'm in a truck, so we're going to talk about trucks sometimes. I need to be transparent. I apologize that I haven't been as transparent as I'm supposed to with you people. But I'm going to be. I'm also going to apologize because to myself, the people around me, and the people who support me, and the people who have faith in me, because I've stepped away from my higher power in the wrong, not completely, but I haven't had both feet in. I need to have 2 feet in. This way I can be true to you, I can be true to me, I can be true to my family, I can be true to all the people that I love, family, friends, just true, just 100%. It takes more energy to hide shit and not be transparent than it does just to let it all out. And to be quite honest, honestly, I don't really have anything to fear. Even what I did previously, done, whatever. There's no pity, none of that shit, because I know deep down in my damn heart, I'm a good dude, man. I care about people. I care about people, man. I care about what's going on around me. I care about this damn world. Shit. Sometimes way too much. So in these last 2 weeks, week and a half, some things have happened. And the video is going on for 57 minutes. And I'm going to touch on things in videos to come. But I just came to apologize that I've been absent, that I haven't been 100% forthcoming, forthright. I haven't been 100% transparent with all of you, with everybody in my life. I haven't been 100% with my faith. And he has definitely pressed upon me in the last week and a half and given me every signal, emotionally and mentally, and every reason to believe that if I don't fix that, there's going to be a lot of pain to follow. It's going to be a lot of pain. It's going to be a lot of pain. I'm not for it. So I'm sitting here in Arizona, and I thought I'd do a live feed and start with that. So going forward, I don't know who finds my content interesting and who doesn't. And at the sake of sounding arrogant, I think my story is pretty damn interesting, considering they wanted to write my story in LA, these damn publishers. And it's going to get interesting. Shit, I'm interested in it. I'm interested to see it. It's going to get interesting because I just can't afford it. I can't afford to not be that way. I can't afford it. And the way karma works, man, karma, shit. Karma. going to definitely leave it saying this too. Don't judge people. I don't care how angry you are at them. I don't care what you think. You know, don't judge people. Don't call them names. Don't swear that you're better than them because you never did something that they didn't do. We're all fucking human, and karma bites hard, man. Karma bites hard. And it bites both parties. It bites both parties. And what I mean by that is this is a gem. Sometimes you can be the one that you are insulting, emotionally abusing, badgering, and just mashing someone down until they can't get up anymore. Because you want them to feel what you feel. You want them to feel that. And then you slip up. And the tables are turned. And when that happens, you're in so much, if you care, if you have half a heart, if you have a soul, you're hurt. You're hurt. You're hurt. You're hurt. Like, it bites hard. Because now that same, all that shit that you said, called the person, all the emotional abuse, everything that you did, whatever you said, now you're subject to it. You fall into the category. That person could easily turn back and do that to you. Now, that's got to be one of the hardest things to eat. And that's not what happened to me. That's not what I did. I'm just saying, you can be that person. Or you can be the person that you wish someone knew how you felt. The person that's being badgered. The person that's being pushed down into the ground emotionally. The person that just can't get back up. That no matter how hard they try, they're never good enough. Just feeling like a fucked up individual. You can be that person, and you can be the person wishing that that person that's doing that to you felt what you were feeling. And then when the tables are turned, you love that person so much that it hurts to see them feel what you're feeling. Life is fucking crazy, man. It's crazy. You know, I heard someone say once, they say God works in mysterious ways. And he said, no, he doesn't. It's black and white. We make it mysterious. Shit, if that ain't right. Don't judge. Find forgiveness. This shit is so important. Find forgiveness. Forgive yourself. Forgive the people around you. Find forgiveness. This shit is important. It's important for the whole fucking world. Pardon my language. I guess that's part of not being transparent. It's so damn important. Forgive for yourself, but find forgiveness. You know, don't kick people when they're down. Give them a little room to breathe. Karma bites on both ends. shit is a alternating current. It's Tesla all day. That shit is not Thomas Edison. I'm gonna sign off. I'm in Arizona. I'm headed to Phoenix. I'm headed back east because my son is getting married on the 26th. He's gonna be 21 in 2 days. And I'm gonna pick up my younger son and take him with me next time out. But you guys know what I'm gonna say. If you watch me, you know what I'm gonna say. Be cool, stay fresh. Peace.